Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I'm also a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I want to talk about signs that an avoidant is emotionally attached to you, like they've mentally claimed you or they're serious about you. And I think this is important because avoidance, they have this process, and it's much more common with avoidant attachment, is they emotionally commit to you before they verbally tell you. And that's very annoying. I'm not going to deny that. But I also think it's important that you guys know that this is happening because you deserve to know instead of get confused, because a lot of attachment styles other than avoidant attachment, they're going to tell you. And avoidance, they sometimes avoid telling you the commitment because they're afraid that that will mean more expectations and more pressure. And so often they mentally claim you first before verbally claiming the relationship. And when you're in this stage, this is crucial for actually getting further commitment, but it's also important because this is the stage where a lot of you guys get confused because you think, okay, there's clearly something, but at the same time, there's no verbal commitment, and that gets confusing for you. And you're in this limbo situation, and often because you're in that limbo situation, you can kind of crash out or get uncomfortable, and then that puts you further away from the commitment that a lot of you guys want. And I want you to get that. And so that's what we're talking about today. Signs an avoidant has mentally claimed you and is serious about you. The first one is you'll see that your avoidant partner is actually more self-aware. And so what do I mean by self-aware? They are more aware of maybe some of their barriers. They're more aware about barriers in general, like among other people, like not even among themselves, but they could be more aware about dynamics in a marriage that could affect them. So they might say, oh, wow, I saw a husband getting really angry about his wife. I don't ever want to do that. Or I used to have that issue. Maybe I should think about that. You'll see that they'll use different elements to show themselves some sort of reflection, inner reflection, or they just might be self aware about themselves in general. They might say, I notice I've been drinking a lot more. I probably should stop that. They will, it doesn't even have to be at their attachment issues. They're more self aware in general. But on a sub point, you will also see this a little bit more with their attachment issues as well. The second one, avoidance will apologize and hold themselves accountable. This is really important because even if it's just once, the fact that they felt comfortable doing this is really a sign that there is some attachment, because avoidants take apologies as weakness, okay? And when I was growing up, I'm a person who I used to be avoidant, and my dad is avoidant. And now I over apologize a lot because I'm kind of a problem and I'm working on it. But it's because when I was younger, I never really I did hold myself accountable, but it was harder for me to apologize for certain things because I didn't know that was what I was supposed to do. It doesn't mean I wasn't sorry. It's because the word I'm sorry, I was taught that you're not supposed to do that. It's like a weakness. And so what I used to do is if something hurt somebody, I would hear them. I'd say, okay, I hear you, and then I would just change it. But it would take me a long time to do that. And then because it was taking a long time and I wasn't communicating, people thought I wasn't taking what they were saying seriously. And part of that is because I probably wasn't. And I admit that. That was a mistake that I did. I changed. I was younger. But a lot of times, a lot of avoidants have that mindset. So if they're actually holding themselves accountable and apologizing, this is a really huge step. If you're struggling with your particular relationship, you can book a call with me. You can email me. We can talk about these things and we can find answers to some of the unresolved questions that you have. What's going on in your relationship? What can be done? I can absolutely help you with those things. I see so many couples, so many patients, and I have a lot of insight onto dynamics. I want you guys to understand I'm not going to judge you. So please just tell me all the background you absolutely can. It'll help me to get you the best answer possible. It's in the description box and it's pinned in the comments. I want you guys to live the best life you can possibly live. I truly do. That's why I make these videos for free. That's why I spent so much time in my life studying personal dynamics, humans in general, behaviors. I want what's best for you. The next one is, I'm going to say this is particular after intimacy in the bedroom, but it doesn't have to be. It can also be like having like a very romantic date, like a satisfying connection. It's going to be more common in the bedroom though. I will be honest about that. In particular, if they're the, I guess, receiver. I mean, it depends on how you connect. if they're the ones that feels like maybe they were the ones who got really like fulfilled physically, okay? It depends. I can't talk about that too much on YouTube, but I know you guys can kind of understand to some extent. You guys understand the basics of stuff like this, right? So they might say something like, I feel better, or I enjoyed that, or that was great. Something very simple. And it's even more relevant and important if this is occurring when you guys are past the 8 month mark, or even the 6 month mark, but even better, the 1 year mark, because avoidants are good in the beginning of the relationship, kind of communicating like this because they're emotionally just going with the ebbs and flows and kind of wearing a mask. Kind of like when you're in high school, like this is how I always thought about it. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in high school, I had like, I'm not like this anymore, but when I was in high school, I had like different sides of myself I showed with different groups of people. I know that sounds like kind of immature, but I was in high school. And avoidants do that. Like they show one side of themselves at work. Now it's like if you're dating, they show one side of themselves, or like a side they think they're supposed to be, right? Like maybe in school, you're supposed to wear like a certain dress code, right? We had a strict dress code, or so I felt in high school. And I couldn't express myself because I like lots of different types of clothes. And I felt like I couldn't be myself. And so avoidants kind of have that perspective. They can't really be themselves in the beginning of a relationship. So you might actually think they're more open and romantic than they actually are. And then when the relationship progresses, you see them as more detached and cold because they're showing their real self to you. And at that stage, when they say, I feel better, or I enjoyed that, that is when it really shows that they're serious about you. Because even when they're detached, even when they're uncomfortable with intimacy, because a lot of them are, they're still able to say that. That's why this is really important. So you might not see that until you're at that stage. The next one is they ask about friends and family. In particular, if you talk about your friends and family. So let's say you were discussing, oh, my sister is dating this guy and I don't really approve of him. I don't know what to do. I'm worried about the situation, but I don't want to seem like I'm disapproving of this guy before I even met him, and I'm going to meet him this weekend. Let's say that's a conversation. And then after you meet the sister's boyfriend, you and your significant other hang out maybe after that, and they might ask you, how did it go? How did you feel about him? And it's because they're listening, but they're also engaged in your inner world. This one's really important because it's so simple, and I think it slips a lot of people's mind because it's not like a big significant thing, like you meet your family. That, sure. But I think this one people miss more, and this one happens prior to meeting a family, depending. But a lot of avoidants are pretty particular about meeting family members, and so they take a little longer. The next one is their schedule starts integrating with your schedule. And this is because they value you as a component of their life. They have a specific schedule, and you have become like part of it. So perhaps avoidants are really specific. We talked about this on my video about like why they avoid seeing you in person. And I mentioned like avoidants are really specific. Like some of you guys are like, oh yeah, he only wants to see me at like, I don't know, around 7 p.m. every Monday. Like it's very specific. And this is reality. I've had calls with you guys where we talk about this, and that specific schedule has a part that's built in for you. So they have a specific spot where they put you. They might want to see you Mondays and Wednesdays at a certain time. They like to call you at certain times. They text you good morning every morning. You're built into their schedule. A lot of people think that this is a bad thing because it doesn't seem very fluid. It doesn't seem very, you almost feel like maybe they're hiding you from other parts of their life. That is not true. They're like that with everything. If you watched an avoidant, like, I don't know, you had a hypothetical camera in their house and you could see everything they're doing, everything they do is like that. They're like that with breakfast. They're like that with lunch. They're like that with work. They're like that with friends. They're very specific. Some of them are even to the point where, and we've talked about this in sessions, where sometimes like they want a calendar invite. If you guys are going on a date, they like that. And so avoidants are really structured. The next one is they're honest with you, even if it disappoints you. This is really important. Being honest for avoidants, especially if they're fearful avoidant, it can be hard. And so being honest with you shows that they respect you. And so let's summarize and we'll wrap it up. They become more self-aware. They apologize. After some sort of romantic connection, they might say, I feel better. I enjoyed that. I like that. They ask about your friends and family. Their schedule has been adjusted to you, fitting you in them, in that schedule, and they're honest with you. I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.